Howdy. So today I'm going to do a review of 12 of the last 14 Marvel movies. So basically this means that I'm starting with Spider-Man Far From Home and ending with Thunderbirds. That's actually 12 movies. The two I'm not going to talk about is I'm not going to talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania because I've never seen an Ant-Man movie. I didn't care about Ant-Man movie. I didn't even know he existed until Captain America Civil War. And Deadpool and Wolverine. I remember Wolverine from way back when he was in the comic books. I remember they had some kind of cartoon series back in the 90s. And, then he had his standalone movie, which a lot of people hated. I didn't think it was all that bad. But then again, I didn't know all of the characters. So that's just me. I go to these movies hoping I'm going to like all of them, even if I don't think they're the greatest movie in the world. And for the most part, I do well with that. So that's where I'm going to go with it. As for Deadpool, I'd never heard of him either. Just like Ant-Man, I'd never heard of a Deadpool. Like, obviously, it's not my style of character. I don't remember when his comic books ever initially came out, but I didn't know that they existed. So I didn't watch either of those. Supposedly, he might end up in, well, Avengers Doomsday or some of those kind of things. I've heard some stuff about it. We'll find out. And maybe I will enjoy some of that. But from what I understand, he's more of a comic, funny guy. And I'm just not sure that I want that specific type of thing, but we shall see. I'm probably going to be accurate when I say that they're not going to have an R-rated version of anything he has to say because these are just straight up Marvel movies. So let's start with number 12 on my list, which is Thor, Love and Thunder. It's got all the same characters that we've liked in all the other, Thor movies. And then they've added Christian Bale. And truthfully, it's the only movie I've ever seen Christian Bale in that I actually liked him in. So that tells you I didn't like him in the Batman when they did the trilogy. I didn't care about his character. So I didn't even see the last of those Batman movies. And, you know, I enjoyed the movie, but it wasn't my favorite movie. It had too many, well, we'll just say funny parts. Everything did not have to have a punchline. And that's what this movie was like. It's like, I can't remember Watiki, I don't remember his full name, but it was like he wanted to do a full comedy. And I wanted to see Thor be Thor with some of those real oddities every once in a while. That's what we like about Thor. I'm glad that, we got to have Natalie Portman come back. I enjoyed that. I'm glad that Tessa Thompson had a good bit in this movie, but it just wasn't fully Thor. But I liked it. I can say I like 60% of it. That's still more than 50%. So that one was pretty good as far as just sitting in the theater enjoying it, but it wasn't one of my favorites. Next on my list is Spider-Man Far From Home, which I mentioned earlier, began the second half of movies after Endgame. And I had been hearing about this Mephisto guy ever since this is a YouTube channel called New Rockstars. And this one guy had been predicting that Mephisto was going to show up in all these movies for a couple of years, and he never showed up. And so now I see this guy. I'm like, okay, so what's his thing? I didn't understand that. It had the elements, the bad guy elements, whatever. And then you find out that the creatures from one of the planets, who can, change their shifting, shift into looking like something else. They were there, and Nick Fury is supposed to be up in space on a vacation. Even with that, I gotta tell you the truth. Tom Holland and Zendaya and I gotta look it up. Jacob Batalon. I don't know if that's pronounced properly. I like them together. They are very entertaining. They get along well. I wish I had had friends like that in high school. I never had friends like that in high school. That would have made school a lot better for me. So you saw that kind of stuff. I enjoyed it. I wasn't sure that I liked the ending of the movie when Jonah Jameson called out Spider-Man, being Peter Parker. But still, overall, I give it a higher rank than Thor: Love and Thunder, barely. But it's still my 11th movie. Number 10 is Eternals. I didn't know what the Eternals were. I don't know if there had always been or ever been a comic book. I don't know. I only knew two people in the movie. That's Angelina Jolie and Selma Hayek. Of course I would know who they are, but I didn't know anybody else. And I had to watch the movie 3 times because I bought the DVD, because I buy DVDs of any movie I've seen at the theater that I liked. And I had to watch it a few times before I got an understanding of everything that was going on. And I got to like it. I didn't like the fact that there were so many new people we had to figure out. I didn't know until the end of the movie or near the end of the movie that the little one was actually supposed to be like 13 or 14 years old. I just assumed she was short. So that's me. Um, you know, I liked it once I saw all of it. In my opinion, I didn't get enough Angelina Jolie. I didn't get enough of Selma Hayek. There's a couple of other characters you didn't see all that much of. And I think that's the problem with having so many people in the movie, that you just can't see what all of them are doing. So you just don't understand. And making the timeline basically go, what's it, 5,000 years, almost 6,000 years, that was a bit much. But like I said, after I watched it multiple times to figure everything out, including the bad guys, even though they're not necessarily supposed to be bad guys, but we know they're bad guys. Overall, I got to like it. I will admit that I hated one of the screen credits after the fact where they brought in the singer, another young guy. I don't know who he is. And the guy, the drunken Viking short guy. That was horrible also. But overall, I enjoyed what I saw and I got to understand it. And it gave us a plot twist to use in Captain America, you know, the new soldier. I'll come to that later on. So anyway, that ends up at number 10 for me. Number 9, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. One of my things is I've never liked horror movies. I don't like a movie trying to scare me. I've never liked most TV shows that tried to scare me, because when we had Night Stalker back in the 70s, I actually loved that movie. And then I spent 2 or 3 weeks not sleeping at night, standing in the window looking outside, waiting for a vampire to come and get me because of all the things this vampire could do, because in the past, vampires didn't do that kind of thing. And then one night, my dad caught me out there, staring at the window. And I told him, okay, I saw this TV show and it kind of scared me. And Dad said, okay, we're on a military base. Everybody's got rifles. We've got all kinds of things. We can shoot down or shoot at aliens if they came into this area. You think that a vampire is going to run through an entire military base up in Maine and go on this spree and no one's going to find out? He said, if we can't kill it, no one can. No sense worrying about it. Thanks, Dad. I needed that. Anyway, I had to watch this Doctor Strange movie once again about 3 or 4 times before I knew what was going on. I was just missing it all because I really didn't see WandaVision. I saw a couple of the early shows, and then I said, okay, none of this makes any sense. I'm not going to watch this. I did read some of the things that happened near the end, and so I said, okay. But overall, I didn't think it was a bad movie. It was just like, how'd you kill, you killed the captain. I know he's supposed to be one of the, Jesus, X-Men people, but I still see him as the captain from Star Trek. That's just how I am. Star Trek is my thing. So I still like the movie. I liked America Chavez, that particular character. But overall, it was enjoyable. I just didn't necessarily need to see all the weird stuff. It's just not my thing. But he turned it out okay. And I'm going to be interested to find out if they actually do another Doctor Strange standalone movie, what the third eye is all about, because I still haven't figured that one. Now we got number 9. Number 9 was Black Widow. Black Widow. I love Scarlett Johansson. Don't care. And you know what? I also love Florence Pugh. And I think David Harbour is actually very funny. How did I miss this guy? I don't know if he's ever been in anything else. But Black Widow, I love that movie. Scarlett Johansson got cheated. That movie should have been out way before, we got to the end of the Endgame saga movies and whatever. That should have been out. They tried to cheat her out of her money. She sued. She got the money that she deserved. And I love that movie. I didn't know any of the backstory. So I didn't know about, living, I knew she had to be in Russia, even though she didn't have any accent. And I knew that, she had been raised to be some kind of killer or whatever, because that showed up in, let's see, one of the Avengers movies. I can't remember the name. This is the thing. When you start getting older, you're not going to remember all the names until later. But still, they showed something in the Red Room where she was doing, some training. So, that was going to come up. And I just thought it was a lot of fun. Love that movie. A lot of fun. But it couldn't jump the other movies. And I'm going to talk about the 7th movie now. And this one's going to be controversial from a lot of people, but this was my number 7, which is The Marvels. And someone's got to explain to me, why do people hate Brie Larson? I think she's good. She's been nominated. I think she may have even won an Academy Award, but she's definitely been nominated. So she's good. She was in one of the King Kong movies. So, she's got talent. She's likable. I don't get why other people don't like her. I liked Iman Vellani because I got to see the Miss Marvel show on, Disney Plus, and I liked her a lot. I will say that, some of the stuff that they had looked kind of cheesy, but I liked her a lot. I liked her in this movie. So, I think it was great having someone who's supposed to be a kid, either, 16 or 17 years old. I thought she did a great job in this movie. And the Monica Rambeau thing, well, like I said, I didn't see WandaVision, so I didn't know that she was, now supposed to be an adult of the young one who had been in Captain Marvel. I didn't know that. And that's probably the only thing I didn't like, is that she's taking all this stuff out on Carol Danvers because she didn't show back up when Homegirl's out there basically trying to save a whole bunch of people on other planets and take care of or get rid of the people who have been acting bad towards all these different planets and whatever. So throw that out. I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the humor. I enjoyed when they got together and had to learn, what each other did so they could try to beat the villain. That's probably the only thing that really failed, is the villain. That shouldn't have been whoever that lady was. That's the only problem I had. But overall, I thought it was a good movie. So it was still above Black Widow, but it doesn't beat what I have at number 6, which is the Thunderbolts. Loved Thunderbolts. Matter of fact, I loved it so much, I went by myself and then I went to watch it again. And you know what? I did not see Falcon and Winter Soldier on Disney Plus. because I didn't actually have it. I was able to watch some of these different shows when a friend of mine added me to the people who are allowed to create, set up an account on that. And then Disney threw that out. I didn't get to see anything else. So I had no idea who John Walker was until after the movie. And then I did some reading and said, oh, so he's the guy. I didn't know who that was. I didn't know who Ghost was. So that one I had to read to figure out who that was. Love seeing Bucky, but from what I understood, he was supposed to be a politician, which he was in, you know, the Captain America Brave New World movie. But supposedly in this movie, he's given that up and demoted and whatever, and he's got some other issues. He was a congressman and now he's not. Someone explain that to me. I totally missed all of that. But this movie was funny, action-packed. You could see that everybody in this movie was depressed and had something that they had to try to, overcome so that they could, come together and do what they needed to do in order to, well, basically save humanity. And they still did Ghost, the young lady who played that, that part. They did her wrong because she didn't really do a lot. And I don't think that's fair. But David Harbour, I think that dude's funny. He was funny. Florence Pugh, okay. I also think she's stunning, but I love that, she does the Russian accent really well. And just seeing how she's going from the depressed state from everything that had happened, decades earlier. And then, going through stuff in this one, I thought that worked out well. The only one I wasn't sure about was the guy who ended up being Sentry, because I didn't know if that had been someone in previous, Marvel magazines or whatever. That whole thing came off a little weird. But I loved the movie. It made me laugh. And I kept entertained there by myself. I didn't even have popcorn. So I had 2 boxes of the Crunch, but I didn't even get any popcorn because I didn't think I would need it, and I didn't. But I really like this movie a lot. So that's my number 6. Number 5, Captain America Brave New World. Of course I was going to like Captain America Brave New World. Like I said, I didn't see the show on Disney Plus, but I like the character that's played, who plays, Brave New World, plays the new Captain America. I mean, the original Captain America gave him the stuff. So I'm good with that. I think that, goodness, the guy who took over for, oh God, whatever his name is, the guy who became president, the guy who was president took over for the other guy who had passed away, and he'd been all those other, movies. And he also was, his Han Solo. It'll come to me eventually. But I thought he did well. I think that the new guy that they had did well. I enjoyed it. People didn't go see this movie. I have no idea why, but I think it was fine. Like I said, I've got it at number 5 on my list. So I enjoyed that one. I saw that one twice. So that happens every once in a while. Number 4 on my list, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I bought that movie the day it came out, although I got to see it earlier. And I thought it was everything I would have wanted. It was funny, had a lot of action. The fight on the bus, anyone who saw that fight on the bus and didn't think that was something to get them juiced, y'all need to go somewhere else. That was fantastic. The fight that he had with his father and everyone else, kind of knowing, okay, he's being tricked. The father's being tricked by something, but having to do all the kind of stuff he did. And this Aquafina, I don't know how you pronounce that. I don't know what her real name is, but she goes by that name. I thought she was funny. I didn't know who she was, but she was really funny in this movie also. And let's face the fact here. Hotel California was from my period when I was a teen. So that's kind of funny also. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, how are y'all going to bring her and him back into this movie as things move along? I don't understand, but I liked him a lot. So, like I said, that's my number 4 movie. Number 3, Spider-Man, No Way Home. You had to love it. We brought back a lot of villains. We saw the three main characters from the Spider-Man movies trying to get past what happened to them in Far From Home. And then we got Doctor Strange. I thought this was a wonderful movie. There was nothing I didn't like about this movie. Yes, we did have that period where uh, Spider-Man is trying to kill the Goblin, but he didn't. And I could see him being that upset. Heck, they killed Aunt May. I was upset by that. Wait, what? Why'd you kill Aunt May? I understand why they did that. I understand why they did everything else. Once again, I think when they come out to the next kind of thing that's supposed to be an Avengers movie, he will be a lot more prominent in that movie. But did we have to kill Aunt B? Aunt B? Did we have to kill his aunt? That's just my gripe. But I still liked it a lot. Number 2, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Man, that movie tried to get me to cry. I didn't cry, but a couple of things came up throughout that movie, made me want to cry. And the young lady who got to play Suri in that movie, I thought she did a good job in that movie. I had read some stuff about her before the movie came out, but I still thought she was really good in it. And I don't know the name of the guy who played Namor, but he was good too. Everybody was good in this movie. And the young lady who played Ironheart, I'm sitting there thinking, y'all probably could have done at least a little bit more with her, but they did a lot. And it was just fantastic. It was shot really well. Ryan Coogler did a great job, scripting this movie. And like I said, you got the feels because you were just sitting there saying, man, Chadwick Boseman, it's too bad you didn't get to see this, but they did you good. Ah, that was sad. And I think it's going to bring something back when there's going to be some kind of battle, because we've already seen after Brave New World that, we have anti-anthem. I can't pronounce that. But we've got that, and we've got the other stuff, vibranium, and the anti-whatever, however that's pronounced. But I think that you're going to find that there's still going to be some kind of civil war happening where Wakanda and whatever the folks are called who are in the water with Namor, because I don't remember that either. But I think that there's going to be something that's going to happen, and then something from outer space, or maybe a Doctor Doom thing is going to come, and now everyone's going to have to fight together because, you know what? They're going to have stuff that we don't have on Earth. I love that movie. So there's only one left. Guardians of the Galaxy 3. It's almost perfect movie. I've got nothing bad to say about this movie. I think that all of the main characters who were in the first 2 movies, well, I guess we didn't have one of them in the first movie, but we had everyone else in the first movie. All those characters were wonderful in this movie. It had a lot of action. You got to see Quill showing a whole lot of emotion because he's lost his girlfriend, even though he's with her girlfriend, but it's not the girlfriend. If you've seen the movie, y'all know. If you didn't see the movie, why not? Go buy this movie. Go watch this movie. The guy with the face pulled back, oh Lord, I didn't know that was coming. And that was just yucky, but that's just how that is. And you had the Ravagers and some of the other stuff. This movie was allowed to have a lot of funny stuff because that's what the first 2 movies were. A lot of funny stuff. And the fight scene in this movie where you see, the Guardians of the Galaxy fighting all the bad guys from the guy with the face. I don't know his name, but you saw that. And some of that was in slow motion. They're doing all this stuff, No Sleep Till Brooklyn. Oh my goodness. Didn't know that was going to be played. That's from the 80s. One of the early quote unquote rap songs that showed up on MTV. That was great. And seeing how at the end of it, you still had, some of the characters were going to be leaving to go find out other things about their life. And that movie is a lot of fun. I've actually watched that one 5 times. So that lets you know how much I enjoyed that movie. So anyway, that's where I'm at. This is not the best video I've ever done because I didn't remember all the names. But if I had written everything down, I'd have been scrolling a whole lot and I just didn't want to go there. But anyway, I still got them in order. And if someone wants to, disagree with me or wants to add something else to it, I don't mind that. I mean, that's why you do these things, so other people can see. But I put it out there. There it is. My name is Mitch Mitchell. Let me know your thoughts. Talk to y'all later.